Hello, everybody, and welcome to the PHLY Eagles post-game show presented by Bet365. Download the Bet365 app. Use code PHLY365 when you sign up, whatever the moment. It's never ordinary at Bet365, and we have a very extraordinary game to discuss as the Eagles win 37-20 on Sunday Night Football in Los Angeles. I am joined by Super Bowl champion Vinny Curry, Jamie Lynch, Fran Duffy. I am Bo Wulf. We'll hear from Zach Berman live from SoFi Stadium in a little bit and hear from Nick Sirianni as well. But we have to start tonight with the obvious. The Eagles have the ball 4th and 7 at the end of the first half. 7 seconds left, and they call a quarterback draw? Just kidding. Let's talk about Saquon, Vinny. Hit us with it.
Saquon! MVP, man. I mean, he is every week. What is it like? In the last 2 games, he got over, what?
500 yards, 4 touchdowns.
Saquon Barkley in this game, 26 carries for 255 yards, 302 yards from scrimmage, the most rushing yards in a game for any Eagle ever, the most yards from scrimmage in a game for any Eagle ever, 2 carries of 70-plus yards for a touchdown. The guy has been unbelievable, and as you were chanting when we were doing the watch-along, and we could hear you in the other room, Vinny, MVP, MVP.
MVP. Bro.
He's insane every week.
Creative player.
I mean, Adrian Peterson was the last guy 12 years ago to take home an MVP award as a running back, and I remember AP just being insane. Saquon feels better. Like, this guy, I read the numbers to Fran right before we came in here. He's had 3 games within 13 yards of 200 yards per game. And then today, like, he's making 200-yard games from scrimmage.
Seem normal.
Yeah. We can't normalize this.
He had more yards from scrimmage than the Rams in the game, 290 yards from scrimmage.
The Giants had 234 yards passing and rushing today. I need a live stream of John Mara and Joe Shane in absolute hell right now. I would pay top dollar to watch that.
Yeah, I mean, Joe Shane, don't pick up the phone, my friend. No. Not at all. On the season, Saquon Barkley has 1,392 yards rushing. That is already his career high.
all of the stats that are going to come out about him in the next 24 hours, every single one is going to top the next.
Of 50-plus yards this season. He is, he has 6.2 yards per carry on the season for any running back this century with at least 200 carries. That's the second best yards per carry ever. The guy, I mean, there are hundreds of stats you could use, but it's like suffice to say that this game is tight coming out of the half, right? It's 13-7. The Eagles did have that very weird situation at the end of the first half, and it takes one handoff. The first play of the second half, Saquon goes 70 yards for a touchdown. And all of a sudden, everybody exhales, and all those Eagles fans who were in attendance because it was a super heavy Eagles show out at SoFi Stadium, everybody can all of a sudden exhale because like that is the pressure release that Saquon has been for this offense all season long.
Did you say he was averaging 6.2 a carry?
Yes.
Adrian Peterson in his MVP season averaged 6 yards a carry.
Yes. There's only one. There's a Jamal Charles season when he was 6.4, but Saquon has been unbelievable.
You mentioned the 2 touchdown runs of 70-plus. The first player in NFL history to do that in a half.
Okay.
He did the second half. I mean, like, just what he has been. I wrote this week about how he's been potentially the best closer in the NFL. Jamie, we were talking about his second half stats.
Insane.
What he's done in the second half of games for this offense and being able to close out games, seal victories. I mean, he's obviously their most valuable player, and you would make the argument the most valuable in the league.
Yeah, I mean, if you go into a half with the lead, it's game over. That's simple.
The guy is unbelievable. He is not only winning games for the Eagles and taking names from opponents and then putting those guys in the dust. He's taking your voice away again.
Oh man, I'm too hyped. Listen, but let's be honest. We haven't.
Have you ever seen anything like this?
We haven't seen this much excitement coming out the backfield in a long time.
It's almost hard to believe what we're watching.
And it's so crazy because it's not. I mean, listen, the 70-yard touchdowns, the 50-yard touchdowns are insane, and they are like it's crazy that he is a big play himself waiting to happen. But it is also like even the normal carries that should go for 2 yards, he's turning into 8 yards.
Yep.
Or like the way that he will just turn the corner up the sideline and just steal an extra 4 yards, or like drop his shoulder into a defender. And we will have to have the conversation about how, like, what his workload is. It's a lot of touches. He had 30 touches in this game, but he doesn't look any worse for wear right now. Like that, he has a 70 whatever yard touchdown at the very end of the game, and it looks like the first carry of the game to him.
Yeah, man. I think coming into the game, he had 199 carries,
Something like that. Yeah.
Right.
You know, so damn, bro, he cold, bro.
What does that do to a defense?
They punch in the air. Because if you can't stop the run in the way he is, like, he's lowering you, then he bust one, and then he bust another one. He just take the soul out of you. It was crazy, man.
And that's the thing is when you run the ball like the Eagles do, and you play defense the way that the Eagles do, you know, it's very tough to go into a matchup against this team and feel confident because the offense and the rushing game feels inevitable. At some point, he's going to break one of those long runs. You know that you've got Jalen, you've got AJ, the healthy Devontae. The pass game, you're going to get some explosives there. So you've got to come into a game against the Eagles thinking you're going to score 28, 30 points. And against this defense, that just has not been able to happen against Vic Fangio's unit.
And then if you stack the box, somebody's going to...
AJ Brown's out there.
The first person not going to tackle him. It's just not happening.
Yeah.
Yep.
And in this game, you know, without Devontae Smith, the Eagles are able to put up 37 points because of Saquon. I mean, as a passing offense, Jalen Hurts throws for 179 yards, 15 of 22, and a touchdown. A.J. Brown, 6 for 109 and a touchdown. And it's like A.J. Brown can go over 100 yards and can be arguably the best wide receiver in the NFL this season and is probably the second most exciting player on the offense. It's insane.
Yeah, and that's the thing is that you have AJ who, you know, ho-hum had 100 yards receiving tonight. But I think when you've got that rushing attack to be able to come in and just to dominate and assert your will with Saquon Barkley, it's an X factor for this team going into the postseason.
And you can tell like how much fun he's having. Like you saw it tonight in his celebrations and his kind of like jukes and his like he was almost toying with the defense.
Yeah.
And I think he realizes that playing behind this offensive line is just like the greatest thing he's probably experienced on a football field. That dude is having a effing blast on the field right now.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it obviously in the offseason when they signed him. The theory of adding Saquon to this team where there are weapons to take away attention from the opposing defense. You've got Jalen Hurts in the backfield, so that's something for the run defense to have to account for. He played behind such bad offensive lines in New York. Now he gets to play behind the best offensive line in football. Last year, you know, DeAndre Swift was getting what was blocked, but he wasn't breaking stuff at the second level. If he gets into the second level, what could Saquon do? And like all of those what if both case scenarios were still underselling just how like offensive identity changing he has been for them. Uh-oh.
Yeah.
We got bad news.
Bad news. Brandon Graham tells reporters this season is over. Tore his tricep.
Oh,
He played out of his mind tonight.
He played so good.
He had 6 pressures, 2 hits in the quarterback, 2 TFLs, a sack, and a PBU tonight.
Give the man an extension right now.
How many TFLs too, though?
2.
Yeah, they gotta add that to it.
Zach has tweeted. He says he's out for the season. He tore his triceps.
Sorry to be a bummer on the Saquon high there. But
Such terrible news. Brandon Graham, at 38 years old,
becomes the third,
arguably the best football of his career, was dominating tonight.
Yeah, he wasn't even playing like old man good. He was just flat out playing great football. Yeah. And Vinny, you said when watching the game, you were like, he's almost at the point where you have to start him. He's playing that good.
Yeah.
God, that's a bummer.
Such a bummer. Now, well, let's stick on
Yeah.
PG.
Sorry to ruin the high there.
Let's stick here because this is
That's such a bummer.
terrible news, and also impactful news for this defense, which we can get into. But from a human standpoint, Vinny, I mean, you played so long with BG. He had this go away season and was playing at such an unbelievably high level. What do you feel for him?
It sucks. It sucks. Especially, this was like the best game of the season for him.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he was such dominant in this
That
game.
awesome sack.
Mike wants you to suit up, Vinny. You got a couple snaps in you?
Nah.
Well, you saw at the end of this game, I mean, they have already put Bryce Huff on injured reserve. And so Jalen Hunt got bumped up. But now to lose Brandon Graham, you saw what happened at the end of the game. They were playing Zach Bond as a defensive end, not as sort of that overhang player. They were playing him as a true defensive end at the end of that game. This is really going to change the shape of the defense because you talk about who they have on the outside. And Nolan Smith has been playing very well. Josh Sweat had a good game tonight, although he got banged up as well. But after those two guys, for a defense that wants to rotate, although a little bit less so than years past, but still, now all of a sudden, Jalen Hunt becomes a very important player, and you're going to need to find whether it is Teron Jackson from the practice squad or just leaning into Zach Bond, or probably more likely like Milton Williams playing on the outside. This is going to really change the shape of that pass rush.
Yeah, I don't think there's one player on the roster that would, take away from the high of Saquon more than BG, and he's just, Vinny, you can talk to it. I mean, he's the guy that keeps you loose in the locker room. He's always smiling, maybe farting, just keeping people loose, smack talking at the coin toss, just kind of like overall keeping a great level for everyone. And I'm sure that's felt.
Yes. And when things get a little out of whack, he can put a fire out. Damn, it sucks.
Yeah, that's a brutal blow.
I hope, and you hope that's not how his career ends.
Nah, he'll be back.
No, you got to bring him back.
He was playing too good.
You got to bring him back.
You got to give him another year.
If you don't go like that, you got to come back.
Oh man, that is such a bummer.
Do you make that if you're BG
every time they go to LA?
I know. I was thinking that too. But if you're BG, like, do you make that call now? Like, I'm going to go through rehab. You let it sit,
get
right?
yourself back together, man. Because listen,
I mean, you're gonna want the tricep back, and no matter what, right?
How many times we done sat here and watch him come in the fourth quarter or third quarter and start going crazy?
Right. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, we had a lot of fun on the watch along tonight. I hope a lot of you guys joined us, and we look forward to doing those again in the future. Fran and I calling the game, and Jamie and Vinny coming in throughout. We had a lot of fun. We were talking about Brandon Graham, the way that he is playing this season. He is already thought of as this upper pantheon player in franchise history. He made the most important play in the history of the franchise, and yet he was still rising because of how good he was this season. We were joking about a defensive player of the year votes, because if you just factor in how old he is, he's been unbelievable. This is such a killer, and you hate to be down after the Eagles win their 7th game in a row and look to be a real contender for the number 1 seed in the NFC. This is just, you feel bad for the guy, because he is, as you said, the voice of the locker room. So, just
yeah,
the personality of the locker room.
He's kind of like the trendsetter, right? He's out there at the coin toss today, smack talking the Rams because they won the coin toss. You just can't forget the play on the field. You can't reproduce what he brings to this team. There's just nobody else that can do it.
So Teron Jackson
brutal.
on the practice squad.
There's one other defensive on the practice squad. The guy, your boy, who they signed on Friday.
Oh, right. Sean Mathis.
Yes.
Although he may have served his purpose.
Yeah. David Anane, who they released from the practice squad.
Aquara, who they had in the summer. He's with Arizona now. Terrell Lewis.
Yeah.
Had a solid summer. But, at least was with the team during camp. So those would be the options. Speed. Right. Yeah, right. But those would be, I guess, the options that they would be familiar with. Mm-hmm. Unless there's guys in the veteran on the free agent market that feel comfortable bringing in. I'm trying to think of who else would make sense.
I think it's more likely to be
lean on Teron Jackson,
Milton Williams.
Yeah,
and
Milton played really well tonight.
He did.
And Bond in some situations.
Right.
Yeah, Milton was awesome tonight. Yeah, I mean, I think the other question, I mean, Bond has been so good as a linebacker that you don't want to take him out of
you don't
that
want to weaken
spot,
two spots.
but here and there.
The name that I wonder if they have regrets on is Patrick Johnson.
Yeah.
That was a guy that they cut after the season began.
Yeah.
And they were hoping to sneak it through the waivers. They didn't need to. And he ended up getting picked up by the Giants, and he's playing snaps for the Giants on defense right now. Yeah, that's a bummer.
Oh, man, that is such a bummer. Oh, man, of anybody. Oof. All right, well, we are here to commiserate with you on that front and also discuss the otherwise very impressive performance from the Eagles. Hit us up with the Super Chats, and happy to see everybody who is here with us. We'll hear from Nick Sirianni in just a little bit, and also Zach Berman. On the defensive front, if we move away from Saquon for a minute, started... disappointing is too heavy, but it was not a good start for the Eagles defense. The Rams go right down the field, and then Isaiah Rodgers in his first snap in the game for Darius Slay, who, by the way, suffered a concussion in this game and did not return. That's another concern. Isaiah Rodgers forces a fumble. They do a good job there, but the Rams had driven down the field. Their next possession, they drive right down the field for a touchdown. You're thinking, okay, this little chess match where Sean McVay has been waiting to face Vic Fangio for so long, maybe he's going to get the best of him. And then from there on out, the defense really stepped it up. 3 straight 3-and-outs after that. The pass rush on third down was fantastic. 0 for 4 on third down for the Rams in this game.
0 for 8.
0 for 8, although they picked up a few fourth downs. And throughout the game, they did end up getting some plays. But that little stretch there after the first 2 possessions was when the Eagles' defense made its impact.
Yeah, I mean, you saw the pass rush come alive. The coverage did not stand. We were during the watch along just looking at the box score, and Matthew Stafford had like 7 completions for 67 yards. They just were not giving up those big chunk plays, which has been the hallmark of this defense through the majority of the year. You saw, the pass rush come alive, and everybody's chipping in. You get a sack from BG, you get a sack from Milton Williams, you get a sack from Nakobe Dean coming from the second level. You saw the sack later, Jalen Carter, knifing into the backfield and creating the sack for Milton Williams. So you saw everybody chipping in that way. But again, just the overall team defense, the coverage on the back end was suffocating, and Stafford had nowhere to go with the ball more often than not.
Yeah, super chat that just came in on the topic here from Pav P. Bo. It says, McVay keeping the starters in down 23 points with 2:40 left on the clock just so they can crack 20 points. Fangio really is his daddy.
Yeah, I think that's right.
I loved watching flustered Sean McVay tonight. Something about that guy's face just drives me nuts.
It's okay.
And the Eagles have the upper hand versus Boy Genius.
Yeah, they have.
Yeah.
They have
Doug P had
mostly done him very well.
Vic Fangio's got it.
Yes.
And now, Nick Sirianni's got it.
Stafford goes 24 of 36 for 243 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a quarterback rating of 104.3. Puka Nacua, 9 catches for 117 yards. Cooper Kupp, 8 for 60 and a touchdown, although that was a pretty quiet 8 for 60, a low impact 8 for 60 from Cooper Kupp. I thought they did a good job tracking him across the field. Vinny, from that defensive line, BG aside, what did you see from this pass rush, especially on those like 3rd and long situations when it's you got to rush? They really got it done.
I think the game plan for the Rams was double team Jalen
Yes.
Carter.
Yep.
They showed the stats on the broadcast. It was his highest double team rate of his career.
Right, but look at the end play. Everybody won their one-on-ones most of the night. So now they had to pick your poison type of thing. I love the way they rushed together tonight.
What in particular stood out on that front? Like was it a cohesive rush plan, or just, as you said, guys just winning their one-on-ones?
Guys just winning their one-on-ones. Okay. And then the one play of the 2 tackle stunts, they try to free him up a little bit with the Milton Williams sack. That was pretty cool. Josh Sweat sack was a good rush. And like I said, Brandon Graham was dominant most of the night.
Yeah, that right tackle. They had that right tackle in hell.
Rich Hoffman just quote tweeted your tweet, Bo, from 2018, where it said one man leaves the locker room protecting the trophy. And he said, let's go make that BG this year.
Oh, I love that. No, that was JP. So, remember, JP is the one who carries the locker room out of the.
So if BG wants to be the official trophy carrier this year, I think that's a great way to cap the year.
Next Gen has some numbers on Jalen Carter. So he ended up being double teamed on 22 of his 35 pass rushes, which was the second highest double team rate that he had faced in a game this season. 62.9%. Now it was 75% at one point. So they backed off on the double teams, but they held him to just one pressure on those 35 snaps. So the double teams were able to work against Carter. Bo, the big thing though, he played every single snap of the first 51. And then once the backups came in, so he played.
It's like the Quinyon touchdown doesn't count because it was garbage time.
Right.
Same thing, like garbage time.
So he played 114 straight snaps going back to week 10.
That's insane.
That's crazy.
Mike Golick Jr. tweeted.
Heard of that from a defensive tackle?
He tweeted out, Jalen Carter's club and rip is sending dudes into the shadow realm.
Every snap? For a defensive tackle? That's nuts.
Damn.
At what point, like for you, and obviously, it's going to be different, but at what point were you like, all right, like, coach, give me a little bit.
Yeah, for us it was every four. Like
you guys were.
Yeah, and that's Flush was the only person that
right.
Yeah. All right, much more to come, including Nick Sirianni and Zach Berman. But first, we take a little pause to hear from our sponsors. C-Jam Construction time. C-Jam Construction is a family-owned home remodeler specializing in decks, bathroom, and flooring. Their goal is to help their clients alleviate the challenges and frustrations that come with home remodeling. And we know that those challenges and frustrations can be endless. You might be tempted to do it yourself, but think about all the help that the good folks at C-Jam Construction can do for you, because they will not only make it easier, but they're going to make it the best. They're going to give you the best product, the best help that you can possibly get. Be sure to mention that PHLY sent you to C-Jam Construction, and you will receive 15% off when you call in at 856-329-2933 about your next home project. See their full selection of luxury vinyl plank flooring and learn more about the products and warranties on their website at cjamconstruction.com/flooring.
And when Saquon Barkley just goes absolutely wild, it makes me want to run to the fridge and grab a cold, delicious Miller Lite, because when you're watching the birds, a Miller Lite is the perfect companion to go with you. It's the original light beer since 1975, and to this day, it's still the best one. Why? Because Miller Lite knew they aced it, and they didn't have to tinker. They held on to what matters most, a light beer that tastes like light beer should taste. And it's less filling, and you're not going to get that bloated, gross beer feeling. It's just a light beer that tastes like light beer should taste. Less filling and only 96 calories. The original since 1975, and to this day, still the best one. And you don't have to choose what's best. Miller Lite has great taste and is less filling. Tastes like Miller time. To get Miller Lite delivered right to your door, visit MillerLite.com/PHLY-birds, or you can find it pretty much anywhere that sells beer. Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. 96 calories per 12 ounces, fewer calories and carbs than premium regular beer.
Fred, what did you see them change on defense after those first two drives that led to success?
Yeah, I mean, the big thing we started noticing, and it was towards the end of that second drive, the touchdown drive, was that they started going into more of those odd fronts with Zach Bond coming up on the line of scrimmage, just basically loading the line, where if they were going to run those stretch zone plays that had been working for Kyron Williams, instead of getting those double teams going, it was going to be hat on a hat, one-on-one, and just hoping that one of your guys is going to be able to win, and you're going to prevent that crease from happening.
Which is kind of a callback to the whole back and forth from 2018, right?
That's exactly what Fangio did to McVay back in 2018. That's the way when teams are getting the stretch run going. That's a tool that teams have been able to lean into, is just basically loading up the line of scrimmage, preventing those double teams from really getting going at the point of attack.
Who is your daddy and what does he do?
Yeah, I mean, he owned him.
Yeah, and so when you're able to stop the run that way,
yeah.
You got into those the more predictable passing downs. That's when we saw the sacks happen. We saw the third down sack. We saw Nakobe Dean's sack came on second down. Sweat's sack came on first down, and so they were able to get after the quarterback as well on those pure dropbacks. From
the Eagles passing game standpoint, as we talked about, Jalen 15 of 22 for 179 yards and a touchdown, quarterback rating of 108. A.J. Brown goes for 109 and a touchdown. And then after Saquon, the next leading receiver was Dallas Goedert 4 for 19 yards, and then Jahan Dotson's the only other guy who caught a pass, 1 for 4. What did you think of the passing plan?
Yeah, it's going to be tough to answer until we see the film tomorrow. But I mean, the thing is like Jalen missed Goddard on that one play in the red zone.
Yeah.
Now that would have
It
come
was a
back to the penalty anyway,
Yeah.
so it's not like that would have gone. That would have counted. But I think when you look at it, they had some stuff dialed up, and you could see that Jalen dropped back a number of times and wanted something down the field that wasn't there, and he was able to either scramble or throw away. He made some good decisions on some throwaways.
Yeah, it looks like he made some good decisions on some pressures where sometimes he can sort of get a little bit flustered in those situations, either take a bad sack or drop the ball.
Yeah.
Tonight, a couple of really nice scrambles to his left, and then a couple of ones where he was able to just throw the ball away and not have those negative plays.
And to my knowledge, to my memory, I don't remember seeing any like free runners from a blitz standpoint where it's like, oh man, like the protection scheme was bad there and then it broke down and somebody came in clean. I don't remember seeing any clean rushes that way to Jalen Hurts. Now, the big thing from a pre-snap standpoint that will come into question, I'm sure, within the next 20, 30 minutes, whether it's with Nick or with Jalen or with both, will be that sequence at the end of the half. So at the end of the first half, when you had 2 quarterback runs in the final 3 plays, or was it the 2 final plays with Jalen Hurts?
Well, we'll get to that.
Yeah, we'll get to that. But I think to me, that becomes a Jalen discussion.
Do we have Nick, Tyler? I think Sirianni's at the podium. We're going to get him on in just a second. And hear what...
Bo, you're getting called out in Discord for the BG.
Yeah, I take that heat. That's totally on me.
Yeah.
I tweeted during the game as a BG's like in DPOA.
Did you tweet or Blue Sky?
Blue Sky. Yeah.
What do you call it?
I'm
Blue
not
Sky?
tweeting anymore.
Skeet.
I'm only retweeting.
Oh, really?
Yeah. No more tweets for me.
Huh. All right.
Who needs it? Yeah.
I still love it. X, it's where it all goes down, Bo.
Okay, we got Nick. You're pulling him up.
Good.
There we go.
That's a really good defensive line.
Beautiful job.
And a good defense. Got a lot of respect for Chris Shula.
We lost him. There he is.
Had the opportunity to interview him for a job a couple years ago. Got so much and worked with him. So a ton of respect for him. I've worked with Greg Williams, great coach before, Giff Smith, all those guys. So I know they got good players and they got good, really good coaches. Saquon's a special player. Offensive line played special against that's a good defensive line. It's a very good defensive line. And we came into this game knowing that we had our hands full with them. So hats off to our players. And that's a good scheme. I think Chris did a good job of mixing things up, making it hard for us to know to get a beat on things. And we were able to hit a couple home runs. Saquon has that ability to hit home runs. And so sometimes that's how it goes. You get some short gains, boom, home run. And Saquon's that type of player, and our offense line did a good job at handling the variations of the front today.
At one point he came off the field limping. Do you have...
Who's that?
Saquon.
Okay.
At one point he came off. He said he was fine. But do you ever have concerns that there's a point where you got to slow it down a little bit with his numbers?
Howard
again, I've talked to you guys about this. You control things on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. This sport is like any other. This NFL is unlike any other professional sport. Like, we got to do whatever we got to do to win each and every game. That's always going to be that way. So if it takes Saquon carrying the ball a bunch of times, then he's going to have to carry it a bunch of times. And then you have to get a chance. We've gotten a chance the last couple of weeks, past month or so, through November, to get him out in the fourth quarter. So you try to handle things that way. We're always conscious of it. I think Saquon does a really good job of being able to take himself out at times, and when he's feeling it, and that's why he runs so fast and so hard, and that I think he has a good feel for when he needs to come out, and he comes out. Kenny Gainwell's been going in. Kenny's done a really nice job. I got so much confidence in Kenny when he goes in, and so it's managed a little bit through that. Again, we'll make sure we're very careful with him Monday through Saturday, and we'll do whatever we need to do to win the games.
You mentioned the home run runs. The 5 longest runs of your coaching tenure are from Saquon. What does he do for those types of runs?
Yeah, well, he on the first play of the second half, he makes a cut that I didn't think anybody else could make. Like, he just stopped on a dime. We blocked it really well. Jordan Mailata did an awesome job on the backside. Landon did an awesome job on the backside because we ran an outside zone, and we were able to cut the backside off. And so first and foremost, to get into the open field, it started up front. It started on the front side, then obviously we did on the back side. And then he made this cut that, man, he put his left foot in the ground and went around the edge, and then he just hit the gas. And it looked like I couldn't tell, but it looked like we had some guys hustling downfield to get the blocks. But man, when you have the type of quickness, lateral movement that Saquon has, with the ability to accelerate and the speed to finish, and the power to break it through an arm tackle, or I mean, he's got everything you look for in a back. He's been awesome, and he was awesome tonight.
Coach, on the defensive side of the ball, you guys coming tonight, ninth in the league in third down efficiency. They went 0 for 8 tonight, and the number one pass defense that you guys sport out there tonight. Can you speak to just being able to line up and shut down some of the more prolific offenses, receivers, and quarterbacks in the league?
Yeah, that's a really good offense. So much respect for Coach McVay and how much success he's had. And you always got to be prepared. I can't tell you how much we watch him all the time in the off season. What's he doing that's cutting edge, and it's always something that we pick up and we put in our repertoire. So first and foremost, Sean does a great job with those guys, and then Matt Stafford is lights out, man. He's tough. He's accurate. He knows where to go with the football. And then the two receivers are big time players, and I've always thought Robinson was a really good player as well. And so got a lot of weapons over there. We had to be on it today. And I think it started with us up front, being able to get some pressure on the quarterback. That's always where it's going to start, up front. Or everyone's going to look at today and see Saquon's 255 yards, but that offensive line is where it started, right? And it's the same thing on the defense. It starts on that defensive line. And we got a good effort from everybody that it contributed. We were able, credit to Howie and his staff that we have good depth that we're able to rotate through and keep them fresh. Our D-line coaches, Vic's doing a good job of calling the different games and different stunts that we're doing and blitzes. And then our D-line coaches, Jeremiah Washburn and Clint Hurt, have done a really nice job coaching these guys. But all the credit goes to those guys that are out there making plays, and you make it hard on the quarterback in the pass game when you're able to generate the pressure that we got today. Yeah, I'll look at the tape. I thought he did a good job. He was efficient, made plays with his legs, he made plays with his arm, and so I just think took care of the football, and so I thought he was super efficient. Our run game was really cooking, but when we needed to pass it, he had some big time completions to AJ, particularly on third down, and big one at the end of the third quarter. Jalen is a winner. I can't stress that enough. I know I say that every time up here, but look how many games we've won in these past 4 years. We've won a crap ton of games. And Jalen's touching the ball every single play on offense to help us do that. And so Jalen, I thought, again, we'll watch the tape on the way home. We got a long flight to be able to watch the tape on the way home, but I thought, super efficient, protected the football. We're still able to get explosive plays because he was pushing the ball down the field when he needed. And then when there was pressure, he's hard to get down when there's pressure. A couple of our quarterback sneaks went for, one of them went for a big gain. He just shows you how strong and physical he is. But can't say enough good things about how he's leading our team, how he's leading our offense. So again, I won't give you a plus minus okay yet, but I think he probably played a plus, and I'll watch the tape. But I thought he did a lot of good things.
I don't think there was a sequence where you declined a penalty, they went out on the field, and you accepted them to push it back. Is that what happened there? That's what it looked like.
Yeah, we got him to 3rd and 13 in that particular case.
And then the end of the first half, that sequence of play calls, what was it?
Yeah, we didn't do a good enough job at the end of the first half, players, coaches, everybody. And so anytime it doesn't look the right way in those scenarios, that's going to be on me. I got to coach it better. I got to teach it better. So we just didn't execute it well at the end of the half.
And then the 4th down at the end, where you guys got on the jump off sides, were you going to run that, or were you?
They did a good job. Our guys did a good job. We were able to use our cadence in those particular cases. I got a lot of faith in 4th and 1. I think that's probably in those scenarios that defense has to respect that we can go for it in 4th and 1. If you look back to our Miami game last year, we went for it on 4th and 1 in a 4-minute inside our 20. So I guess you can connect the dots there. in that particular case. But I think that was a credit to Jalen and how he's using his cadence there. I think that's something that we'll get credited for a first down, but quarterback's got to be good with his cadence. Obviously we were on a hard count, that's why they jumped, and then we'll see if we would have went for it. But Jalen did a good job, with his voice and getting them to jump off sides in that particular case.
These guys have been rolling coming into this game. They won 45. For you guys to win by 3 scores, the kind of performance you had tonight, what does that tell you about where you guys are, where you can head?
Yeah, that everyone's going to be telling us how good we are. Everyone's going to be telling us, this is you're one of the better teams. We don't listen to that. All we got to do is put our heads down and work. Just like when people tell you aren't good enough and you got to block it out and put your head down and work, it's the same situation here. Because I think what's going to happen, obviously, and this is what I told our team after is, everyone's going to be calling you. The media is going to be telling you how good you are. The fans going to be telling you how good you are. That all doesn't matter. All that matters is that we go back to work, get ready for a really good opponent. All that is rat poison, which we'll say, all that is rat poison. So please don't tell them how good they are. They played really good today, but we got a lot of work to do. We made some mistakes, coaching mistakes, playing mistakes that we gotta correct. If we want to do things, we're into trying to do something special, and to do that, it's going to take the work day in, day out.
All right,
Go ahead.
Hey, Coach, just Thursday, Thanksgiving's coming up. What are you most thankful for this year?
Oh, man. God has blessed me in so many ways. So, first of all, thankful for the Lord and everything that he's blessed me with. I got a beautiful family. I got beautiful kids, beautiful wife, great parents who've been there, that are up still in Western New York right now watching the game late at night. My brothers are the 2 guys I probably look up to the most in the world besides my dad. And so family. I appreciate you asking me this. Family is the most important thing to me. Again, love my wife. She's awesome. She is a great coach's wife. And again, 3 awesome kids that, yeah. So a ton to be thankful for. Thank you. Yeah.
I was, Nick got to do the thing that he's been wanting to do his entire life tonight, which was successfully draw the defense off sides on that 4th down that preceded the second 70-plus yard touchdown run from Saquon Barkley. So I would have thought there'd be a little bit more of a pep in his step after finally getting that done.
Talked about the end of half scenario and basically took blame. But what was interesting about it was everyone's got to be better there.
Yes.
It all falls on me.
So let's explain what happened there.
Yeah.
The Eagles sort of stumbled a little bit at the end of that drive. They're up 13-7, and they have a 4th and 7 with 7 seconds left and 1 timeout, and they're at about like the 45-ish yard line. They need 7 or 8 yards to get in field goal range. But if you run a play that's not a Hail Mary, you are risking turning the ball over on downs and giving the ball back to the Rams. It would make sense to run a Hail Mary. You run a Hail Mary, you're going to run 7 seconds off, right? Otherwise, just punt the ball away.
Yep.
Right? Instead, they call timeout. Jalen Hurts goes out on the field, and they run a quarterback draw, and he gets tackled for a loss, and the Rams get the ball back, and then it ends up Josh Sweat gets the sack to end the half. But in incredibly bizarre process that made no sense.
Well, and that's the thing, is that it made no sense. So there's no way there's no way that coming out of a timeout that the coaches would have called that play. So, and we, going back and watching the video,
it does look like Jalen makes a call there.
Yeah, Jalen's making a call at the line of scrimmage. So Jalen got a look,
and there was a quarterback draw 1 play or 2 plays prior.
Right, and that was a little bit different because that was out of an empty look.
And it looked,
so that one you look at it, you're like, okay, like I think that one was forgivable. This one, that's a tough one because of what you laid out. That it made no sense to call that play in that situation.
Do you think that maybe not on the last play because that's different, but maybe the ones before, is there a situation where defenses are maybe now baiting that call?
Potentially, but I mean, look, Hurts he's broken off some explosive runs out of these looks too. So while you might invite it and like you might try and set a trap for him that way, I don't think that was necessarily the case there. I think that was just a case of he called empty and one of the blocks at the point of attack lost, and so he wasn't able to get an explosive on it. So it's possible that they were trying to bait him there, but I don't think so.
Okay, Jamie, we were a little bit worried at the start of this game as the Rams took the lead that maybe the Nick haircut. He decided to get a haircut after being 6-0 since the Travis Bickle shave before the Rams game, but they overcame it.
Yeah,
I mean, with this new haircut.
Clearly a big wife guy. Maybe Mrs. S said, "Hey Nick, we got a big holiday on Thursday, and you're looking a little scruffy, so we need a little cleanup." So maybe he did it for the family.
He does a good job calling her out there because he knows that it's Thanksgiving week, but he's still got to spend time game planning.
Couldn't throw a little Saquon Barkley in there for the things you're thankful for?
Well, you single out one guy, then
I think the team would get it. Lane Johnson's out here tweeting MVP.
Okay.
Derrick Henry is throwing flowers.
And we got Saquon against Derrick Henry next week.
I believe Derrick Henry tweeted "Go off, beast," hashtag Saquon or something like that. Brian Westbrook tweeted.
The running back union, all of a sudden the strongest union we got.
I mean, Josh Jacobs had 3 touchdowns today and over 100 yards. These guys that were deemed watched by the league are saying, putting them right on the table and saying, how does it look now?
And I got to say, I mean, the only person who I thought maybe saw this type of season coming from Saquon Barkley is sitting to my left.
MVP. But
you were all over it. From the beginning, Vinny.
I'm happy for him.
He's clearly very happy in Philadelphia.
So do you think that this means that like Daniel Jones could be Patrick Mahomes? Like if this is the glow up that Saquon had, like what could Daniel Jones be when he gets out of New York?
Yeah.
Not quite that good.
Let's not take it to the extreme.
I mean, maybe he's the next great safety in the league. I don't know.
Yeah, there you go. The Eagles could use another white guy in the secondary.
Did he say? I think he said it where he would go to.
A contender.
Yeah.
So potentially.
He did, yeah.
Was it Baltimore, Minnesota, where the teams bandied about?
Yeah. It was Minnesota was one.
That would be a good place.
Minnesota would make sense.
Sam Darnold stings.
Well, yeah.
And it's a nice short-term thing before they get
right.
I was trying to find the updated MVP odds because, I mean, again, being another primetime game, I mean, this is back-to-back weeks on primetime. If he doesn't get into the finalists for MVP, the system is effing stupid.
I would think that right now, if they voted tomorrow, he would be second to Josh Allen. I think that's what.
I think he's more important than Josh Allen. It's
he's having a clutch.
He's having a great year. Yeah,
Yo,
it's been
you
awesome.
nicknamed him the closer.
Yeah. Give us those second half stats coming into this game.
Oh, coming into the game. Yeah, the second half stats were just unbelievable. Just got to get to my notes here. Coming into the game,
so this
Saquon
is
Barkley
he had like 100+ rushing yards in the second. He had over 150 in the second half of this
Coming into the game today for second half on the season, Saquon had 103 carries, which was second in the league, 738 rushing yards, which was first, and he was averaging 7.2 yards per carry in the second half. I would imagine those numbers all go
I would
up.
imagine so. Tyler, are these from before the game or live? So right now, Tyler has us as Josh Allen, the leader at +135, Lamar Jackson second at +200, and then Saquon and Jared Goff together.
Get the hell out of here with Jared Goff.
Yeah, I mean, Jared Goff's not winning.
Get out of here.
What are we doing?
That's trash.
Yeah, I mean, I can't. It's hard to.
And Lamar's
it's
been
hard to
human for 3
overstate
weeks.
or just even not talk about anything else other than how good Saquon has been. Just unbelievable.
I'm going to be replaying like those runs in my head all week and just smiling. Like, I can't believe what we watched with this guy.
And Saquon Barkley is so good, so impossibly good that he was even able to get the Eagles to run a successful running back screen in this game.
Yeah. That's why I said I think
that might be the most impressive thing he's done all year.
I'm going to try and make a point to remember tomorrow to look that up. I think that might have been the most successful or the lone successful running back screen they've run all year.
Yeah,
I couldn't think of another one during the.
It was a third down play too.
Yeah,
I believe.
Brandon wants to know if Saquon gets over 2,000 yards, will Zach do a show shirtless?
No. I don't know what
not,
it would take to do it.
Maybe not his choice.
Yeah, right. Like I said, all the Saquon stats are going to be insane. And Next Gen put something out. He was at his best in the second half. Saquon Barkley rushing for both of his touchdowns, generating 136 rushing yards over expectation. So remember, over expectation has to do with the GPS tracking and how much yardage are you gaining over what would be expected of a typical running back on that in that play in that situation. In the second half of games this year, Barkley has totaled 444 rushing yards over expectation just in the second half of games. That's more than any other player has recorded across all of their carries in the entire season. So you talk about him as a closer. He's the best closer in this town since Brad Lidge.
There you go.
48 for 48. He was pretty good.
Let's run through the super chats before we pause for another break and then wait for Zach Berman. We have Alex who says, "Is Saquon a legit MVP candidate after this? Go Birds!" I think we agree. I think absolutely he deserves to be in the conversation. Jay Snag says, "Vinny, hit us with that Saquon again, please." I'll let you do it.
Saquon.
What a gamer you are, Vinny.
You gotta get the show.
We're gonna have to get you some hot
through
tea and honey regimen going on.
No, I ain't screaming no more. I ain't screaming no more. But what?
A little,
We'll check back next week.
If he gonna be rushing like that,
Yeah, I was gonna say you can't help yourself.
Help yourself. We maybe get you some lozenges.
Yeah,
like honey lemon water.
You got the medicine ball.
Shit, 255 yards rushing.
Because you're probably screaming about Noah's games too.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah, I think we got your Saquon
Little
shirt
Saquon.
coming in the mail, so hopefully any day now.
I need that.
Santiago says, Peckness migrate Saquon, Adrian Peterson, LaDainian Tomlinson.
Oh, man.
That's tough. Are we talking Saquon just here?
Yeah, that's the thing. It's tough because if you're, you probably have to go peak because we're going about this Saquon peak. You know what I think the nice comp for Saquon I've heard is, and I don't remember who I saw this from first. It's like the TO season.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, right.
It's
I like that.
Right, because it's like this guy came in with all this hype and he's still like way
Exceeding.
surpassing whatever the expectations were.
The thing with LT was he was just what do you have, like 33 touchdowns that one year? Like he was a touchdown machine.
And was a nightmare in the pass game.
Yeah.
I don't think you'd like all of our answers on that Peckness migrate.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a tough one.
That's
It's a tough one.
Wow.
Mike says, yeah, I hear you about Saquon, but what about those two plays at the end of the first half? I'm telling you, I mean, honestly, that is what I will be thinking about from this game, is what happened there. And I will try to follow up with Sirianni about that again during tomorrow's press conference. Vinny says, Vinny, give us your best Brando in The Godfather, please. Because your voice.
No.
You were thinking.
I was about to do it.
You could do.
Come to me on this day. My
I
daughter's
was about to do that.
Says McVay keeping the starters in down. Oh, you already talked about this.
Yeah, we hit that one. Pav P, thank you.
Cracked 20 points. Fangio is his daddy. I do, and if you were with us on the watch along, I think I like Fran's idea that someone is going to take a picture of Vic's butt, and then he's gonna fax it to Sean McVay. Saying how you like me now.
If it hasn't happened already.
It hasn't happened already.
Do you think Vic would sit down to pee ever? What do you think? It's old
I
school.
don't even think Vic gets up to pee. He might just be at this stage. N says, was this the best Sirianni game of the year? That's an interesting question. Now, by the way, this was by success rate and EPA per drive. This was the Eagles' best offensive game of the season, even better than the Bengals game.
Yeah, Dana is already tweeted. It said the Eagles' offense posted 2.45 EPA per drive against the Rams, 9th best offensive performance in the NFL this season.
Wow.
Game against the Bengals was 13th best.
With like a relatively middling pass game in this game.
Without Devontae
Smith.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, and boy, to get away with to not having Devontae Smith, giving him a rest, and still come away with a win in this game ahead of next week's game against Baltimore, with Baltimore getting one fewer day of rest.
That's big.
Yeah. It's pretty big.
There's field goal, punt, field goal, touchdown. Then you had the turnover on downs, which got into the red zone. Then touchdown, before you were salting the game away. I mean,
yeah. Pretty good.
So entering tonight's game, teams that have Lamar Jackson on deck were 71-39 straight up. So now 72-39 going into a Baltimore week. Kind
That's
of a
so
strange
weird.
phenomenon.
That's
isn't
so
it?
weird. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, what do we got? Oh, he's giving you. The messenger. Chris, the messenger. We appreciate that, Chris. All right, let's take a little break.
Producer Julia liked your Vic peeing his pants comment.
Listen, you got to take your shots. Let's take a little break here from our sponsors, and then after that, we'll hear from Zach Berman in a little bit. Okay. Pneumonia. Don't want you, pneumonia. That's why you should go to Rite Aid. Help protect yourself from pneumonia. Adults aged 50 and older are now eligible for the vaccine. It was previously 65 and older. The CDC lowered the age recommendation to 50 plus, so that means all you future Rams draft picks are ready to head to Rite Aid, get the protection you need from pneumonia. Millions of people get pneumonia every year. According to the CDC, it is a respiratory illness, and fall and winter are a time when germs that cause respiratory disease typically spread more in the community. So now is the time to get vaccinated and help yourself stay healthy. I've been hearing actually a lot about walking pneumonia being a big deal this year in the city of Philadelphia. So extra reason to get yourself protected. It's usually no cost with insurance, and you can do it very easily at your local Rite Aid. Getting vaccinated is easy. Just walk into your local Rite Aid or schedule online at riteaid.com. I actually did that earlier today. Very easy process. Unsure of what vaccines you may need, just ask your pharmacist for a personal recommendation. Stop by your local Rite Aid today.
And let me tell you about our friends over at TrueMark Financial Credit Union. If you're unfamiliar with a credit union, get familiar with one. And there's no better one to get started with than TrueMark Financial. They're located and headquartered right here in Fort Washington, and they have 24 area locations all over the Delaware Valley. And this is something I'm going to do with my girls because, you know, financial literacy is early. Is important and early, you know, to intervene and teach them about financial literacy and all it can do for you. And TrueMark has the ultimate playbook for teaching about financial responsibility with a free Greenlight account. The Greenlight app is changing the game, helping kids and teens understand how to earn, save, and spend their money wisely. They can set up saving goals, track their spending, even get an allowance, all right there in the Greenlight app. And the really cool part, each kid gets their own debit card, so they feel like they can make purchases and learn real-world money skills, all while you stay in control from the comfort of your phone. I think this is a brilliant thing that TrueMark is doing. I'm going to get the girls signed up once they get a little bit older so that they can, you know, become financially responsible at a young age and carry that with them for life. And with the holidays right around the corner, now is the perfect time to introduce your kids to Greenlight. So get signed up today. Visit TrueMark.com/Greenlight for more information.
I think we can skip the Hurts presser, Tyler. We don't need to worry about that.
He did smile tonight, though. Several times. Several times.
And I loved.
Even at the interview when they gave Saquon the game ball.
He was smiling.
Mm-hmm.
And I loved him and AJ doing the Fresh Prince.
Yes.
That was so good.
Vibes are high.
Fantastic. And by the way, speaking of LA, the other thing we loved from the watch along, Howie Roseman looking sharp tonight.
Yeah.
Agree.
Oh yeah, he had
Nice
the
custom joint.
custom
joint.
dark on dark with the little pocket square. I thought that was the best I've ever seen Howie look. He saved it for Hollywood.
West Coast Howie.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Good job by Howie for a big Sunday night game.
Well, you know, he knows he's got Saquon. He's peacocking. He's feeling good. I mean, when you like review, obviously Derrick Henry, but like, there's no bigger move in the NFL than Saquon Barkley right now.
I mean, you can make a case for Dylan McMahon, but aside from that, I do think Saquon.
Yeah, Howie's feeling good right now.
Derrick Henry there as well. What did you guys think of the refs tonight? A couple interesting calls. There was the A.J. Brown touchdown, which they overturned.
There was two garbage bullshit calls in the end zone that gave the Rams,
what he said.
I thought the second one, the one on Isaiah Rodgers, I could see that one.
Yeah.
Still crap.
Third and long. It was a little ticky-tack, but he grabs the jersey.
I mean,
Yeah, but how delay was grabbing them flags?
yeah, I mean, it started on the opening drive too.
The Slay one
the
was
fumble,
bad.
having
The
to
fumble.
review the fumble. Like,
How do you
that was
not review-
called on the
And how
field.
do you not know that Sirianni's going to review that? Like somebody should have been staring at
Yeah.
him.
Now it looked like Nick was yelling at his staff on the play, right?
But it was after he threw the flag. He threw the flag, turned around, and
but
yelled.
I think
My-
there was a communication thing. Your guess?
My guess is that when you have a play like that where you're hoping that you're going to be able to throw a challenge flag on, Nick on the coach on the sideline are waiting to hear from the booth. Hey, are you here? Are you seeing replays up there on the broadcast? What are you seeing? Should I throw the flag? Should I throw the flag? And if other coaches are also on the headsets talking, and Nick can't hear the guys in the booth, my guess is he's probably ripping into the coaches in the booth to shut the hell up so that he can hear the guys in the booth trying to communicate down.
It's a good guess.
That's my guess.
Now that one also, like the refs, that ball was very clearly out. They should have seen
Very
that.
clear.
Should have
Yes.
seen that live. That was
And then
bad.
two should have been looking right at Nick for
Right.
the flag.
I did think the Slay PI in the end zone that set up the
Weak.
first Rams touchdown, that was a weak one.
Yeah.
Dallas Goedert just hung a fake drug test slip in Saquon Barkley's locker when the
Nice.
media scrum was around him.
That's good.
It's a good bit. He probably will get tested.
Yeah, I mean, they need to test him for like alien DNA. Drugs aren't going to do it. Weird looking ref, I thought. In this game.
Yeah.
Vinny, what do
talking
you
about
think the age cutoff is for being like swole and jacked up?
Good
Is
question.
there an age?
Not this day and age, because too much fast food out here. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like,
Yeah.
and I'm getting old anyway, so
Did you guys ever see Ed Hockley on the field and be like, damn, look at those guns? You guys know?
no.
Unimpressed.
All we talked about was Ed
Unimpressed by
Hockley's guns.
Yeah, that guy was okay. All right. We'll hear from Zach Berman pretty soon. Let us know what you guys are thinking in the chat as we keep this bad boy going. I mean, I guess the big picture question is, I'll start with you, Jamie. I mean, how good are you feeling about the Eagles' chances of getting the 1 seed?
I feel
Won 7 games in a row now.
I went over the remaining
Now they're
schedule
1 game behind Detroit.
with Rich on Wednesday just to kind of see this exercise. I'll have to pull up my show notes, but Detroit does have a relatively easy path to like, like a 5-1, 6-1. I forget what it was.
And Deniz actually pointed this out on the show on Friday. This was a huge game for potential tiebreaker situations for the
Common
Eagles.
opponent.
Common opponent. The Eagles needed this win. So next week against Baltimore, if you're going to lose a game, that would be the one to lose. Or the Steelers. You would rather lose an AFC game for conference tiebreaker purposes. But this one was one they needed to have.
I feel pretty good. I mean, I said they were going to go 1-1 in these next two. This was the better one to get. If you lose next week, I'd have to look at Detroit's schedule a little bit harder. They're not slowing down either.
No, they're very good.
Yeah, they're very, very good. So, okay, I guess.
It feels like a collision course.
Yeah.
Right now.
I mean, when you look at the other teams in the NFC, you would say that Green Bay is the other team that's kind of
So the
making
Super
noise
Bowl
outside
odds,
the
the Eagles are plus 725. The next closest NFC team is plus 1,400, and that's
Right.
Green Bay.
There you
So
go.
that's a large difference. So, I mean, odds makers Bet365 is telling you this is a 2-team NFC race, and they're right.
I was looking at numbers this week, and it's a volume stat, right? It's not like next level metrics, but the Eagles right now, they're coming into the game, I should say, they're coming into this week, number 1 in the league in rushing offense and number 1 in the league in total defense. If that were to hold through the course of the season, they'd be the 4th team since 1990 to accomplish that feat. The other 3 teams that have done it at least went to the championship game, conference championship game. So that would be the expectation for this team, obviously, with the way that they're playing, is that's the level of team that you're looking at right now, is that they should be vying for an NFC title.
Vinny, do you believe in momentum as a football player?
Yes.
Jalen Hurts just said he doesn't believe in it at the podium. I don't know how you can't.
I mean, there's a lot of ways you can't. I mean,
Do you
got to put in
buy
the
it?
work every day.
Yeah.
Break it down for us, Vinny.
Defensive player.
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
there's also, I mean, there's momentum in game. There's momentum like,
Swing.
But there is
season.
momentum.
There's different ways to think about it.
But there is momentum.
And that's why this up and coming game is going to be heavy.
Yeah.
No?
I'm very curious to see how the defense has answered every question so far. Even in this game, after they start slow, they're able to come back and be so impressive. But now, the defense was super healthy all year long.
Yeah.
They had lost one game from any starter all season long. That was when Slay missed a game. Now,
And Slay left also.
Huff is on IR. Slay has a concussion. Who knows if he'll be able to come back for the next game? And with no Brandon Graham, all of a sudden, like the attrition on defense, this is going to really test them.
Yeah, they're going to have to continue. I mean, they're going to need good snaps from Jalix Hunt. He's going to be counted on more in the rotation, and then they're going to have to get creative to try and replace BG's snaps in the aggregate with guys like Milton Williams. If they're going to have to call up Teron Jackson, whatever that means. But that's where the Bryce Huff injury does come in, because you would have liked to have Bryce Huff there. Because look, at the end of the day, like BG was playing really well, but he was playing in the teens, like snap wise on average.
No, he was not.
Week to
He was
week.
playing more than that.
He was playing, wasn't it like
Wasn't it
35
like almost
even over the
50%
last
of the
month. Even over the last month.
Yes. He had one game where he played like 30% of the snaps. He was mostly playing about 50% of the snaps.
Yikes.
Yeah, I mean that's a lot of snaps they're gonna have to replace.
Yeah.
Is there any chance they go? And let me preface it with anybody on the street right now is probably on the street for a reason.
Yeah, like Yannick Ngakoue is available, I believe.
Like somebody I saw in the chat said Frank Clark is available.
Okay.
Is there any chance they go outside?
And Yannick was with the Ravens on their 53 this year, and they cut him, and they don't have. So
I know, it kind
he's
of tells
probably-
you everything.
Yeah.
But it's desperate times.
To me, I think it would be one of the young guys in the pipeline right now, like a Teron Jackson that's on the practice squad. Or
now,
if
Teron
it's-
Jackson, to be fair, also it's not like he's been here all year long. I mean,
Correct.
he's
Yeah,
been
he
with
le-
the
he was
team
here
for a
and
long
left.
time,
Yes.
but it's not like they thought highly enough of him to keep him in the building all year long.
Right. So then the other option would be guys that were here in the summer. Unless there's
and we did talk about it at the deadline. Like this was a place where they could potentially use some fortification.
Yeah, it's something that I'm sure they've got a long flight home to talk through. I'm sure that'll be something that Howie and Vic and
Maybe
Nick
Daniel
are
Jones
talking
can
through.
rush the passer.
He can get downhill. He's got some speed.
Yeah, here you go. Crazy things have happened. Yeah. People are saying call Fletcher Cox.
J.J. Watt, you talking about a Dick's commercials and come on back.
Yeah.
Both things. It's the worst commercial ever.
No,
Yeah.
you guys, you're like, oh my God, I love this commercial. This is so funny. J.J. Watt is the hilarious man.
God, yeah. I mean, no one said that.
Two of you guys.
To be fair.
Great.
It's a low bar for commercials. That's the point.
One defensive end who does wish that he was in Philadelphia. Micah couldn't help himself.
What did he say?
I don't even got to say it this week. Y'all know WTF I'm talking about. There's a team in the NFC East who let a generational talent walk for free. Talking
He's
about
not
Saquon.
wrong.
Yep. Saquon just tweeted, how about them boys up front?
Nice.
I was just about to say that.
Yep.
The O-line play.
Well, yeah, we should. You're absolutely right. We should talk about the O-line. Mekhi Becton getting some shine tonight. That's your boy. Vinny Curry. Called that.
Happy for him.
He's going to make some money.
Unbelievable how many calls you've made, Vinny.
Is Mekhi Becton going to be here? Because he earned some money.
Yeah,
You
it's
know
a good
what?
question.
Stout University different.
Do guys feel
Yes, I'm pretty sure he loves Stout.
like a loyalty to Stout where he would take maybe a
Yeah.
little less on the
I
open
mean,
market?
he's even in the Matt Quinn Santa Astrovan music video.
Oh.
He's worked his way up into the
And
Philly
do you
special.
think- Do we make a Pro Bowl?
Fran would
He's
be the
gonna
better guy.
he's gonna be in there. Yeah, he's
That's a good
gonna be in the discussion
That's
just
what I'm
because he's
saying.
on the spotlight.
With that train behind
Yeah.
you.
That's a good question.
And the numbers from last week with Mailata and Lane Johnson, I
Yep.
mean, and their performances, like, are we looking at another year where potentially there's 3 offensive linemen in Pro Bowl consideration?
I think 3+. Yeah.
Jeez. I mean, does Jeff Stoutland get into the Hall of Fame? Do they make a
That's
position
a good
player?
idea. I like that.
Is he the first position coach
It's unbelievable.
wing of the in Canton?
He's
Maybe
the,
go to
he's the
Eagles
highest
Hall of
paid position coach in the NFL for a reason.
I'm putting him in the Eagles Hall of Fame. I mean, we're spoiled. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
I mean, did you get a guy like Mekhi Becton and
It's the
switch
best,
him?
It's the best thing Chip ever did.
Yeah.
Bring Stout.
Yeah. Well, and Lane Johnson.
Although
That's more of a Howie.
Stout,
Yeah.
Stout,
Yeah.
yeah, what might
And
be
Malcolm
more
Jenkins.
responsible.
Yeah, yeah, but Stoutland's number
Yeah,
one. Sure.
that's true. A bunch of Landon Dickerson penalties in this
It was
game.
a little sloppy, yeah.
Yeah, but I think again we talked about on the watch along. Like he hasn't been great this year, so it's kind of par for the course, in my opinion. I think he's been better the last few weeks.
Yeah.
He started the first 4 or 5 games were rough for Landon. Contextually, obviously not as bad as other offensive linemen we see around the league, but I think when you see Landon, I think that he's been up and down this year for sure.
All right, we are.
Zach should be with us shortly, according to Slack.
Okay. Well, we look forward to that. A lot to get to with Zach. Let's take our guesses on how many hours of sleep he got over the last 2 days. He said he was hoping for 14
total
over 2 nights, Friday night and Saturday
between
night.
10 and 14.
Because he's red-eyeing
right?
it tonight, right?
He's red-eyeing tonight. Yes, and we'll be on the show tomorrow too.
Well, he went to the Clippers game
those will be
Friday
fireworks.
night.
Yep.
He said he was meeting some friends Saturday
I'm gonna say
night.
he did not hit his 14.
No, I'm going to say 11 and a half.
Okay.
11 and a half, my final answer.
I'll go under too.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna say he got 12 and a half.
Okay.
There you go. Let us know in the chat how
The
many
truth
hours you
is
think.
at 13.
The hotel
Truth
sleep
thinking
though, when
13.
you don't have kids and you black it out and you make it 58
he doesn't look at it that way.
degrees.
He looks at it as, I don't have
can't
kids, that
do
this is
it.
more time for me to work.
That's insane. Zach,
Can't do it.
The hotel sleep when you don't have kids or family around, it's like a great joy in life.
Absolutely.
Those pillows. Oh, Zach.
No one
Here's
thinks,
another.
no one
Let's
thinks he got
make
14.
our other Zach predictions. How, if I ask him what he thought the best part of the defensive performance was, will he mention how early will he mention that they were 0 for 8 on third down?
Right away.
First sentence.
Yeah.
I think first
sentence, yeah.
I'm with you. I'm with him on that because I saw him tweet about it earlier.
Okay.
So I
First
think it's
sentence.
fresh on the.
Okay.
Yeah,
on the
it'll
brain.
be near
there.
the top.
Okay.
All right. According to Slack, he is here. Tyler will let us know shortly.
I hope he heard. I hope he didn't hear.
No,
that.
he didn't.
Oh,
right?
no.
Oh.
All right, Zach Berman, live from.
No, yeah.
1 second. We're just we're fiddling with the mechanics of it. We'll get him in just a second. Zach, we hope you're well. Hope you can hear us, but hope you didn't hear the last part. And then also, by the way, for the real sickos who have been looking forward to seeing the Zach Berman generic hat, the black hat, his Instagram video from this weekend from Los Angeles gives you a look at it. Very exciting stuff. I hope everybody was happy about that.
Dear God, it's Jason Bourne.
Okay. Yeah, we're working on it.
That's true. Drew 2400 says he might mention BG first.
Well, that's not. That's if
Talking about
I'm
the
going to
defensive
ask him about the performance.
Yeah.
Well, he might say it's really a shame that it ends with BG's.
because we do.
He
Have to
played
ask him
so
about
well. You know.
that. Zach talked to BG, so we gotta ask him about that to start with.
Hey, there's ZB predictions.
Well, he can hear us now, I think, so it's not worth making
Can
more
he?
predictions.
Okay.
I think he can hear us. Let's give it a little Zach.
No one in
Zach.
the
Zach.
no one in the
Zach. No one thinks he hit it?
no.
Okay.
No.
Nothing. We're working on it. It might be it's a SoFi Stadium issue. Zach
Oh,
loves
it's the
SoFi
technology,
Stadium.
yeah.
It could be his technology stabbing him in the back. The irony. I know that, but it's funnier if it's a SoFi Stadium issue. Okay.
Luke wants you to break into song while we wait.
Smash Mouth.
I'm not gonna do that.
You got Smash Mouth in the bag.
Yeah, the three of us went Smash Mouth for Smash Mouth.
For Smash Mouth, yeah. That was the low point of the watch along, I would say.
No doubt about it. Truly pathetic. Truly pathetic.
Didn't one of those guys die?
What's that?
I think one of the Smash Mouth guys died.
I don't know.
Yeah. Does Zach have the hat with him at the stadium? If it's a red eye, could we get a little post game cameo from the black hat?
No chance. Yeah, he's not wearing a hat to the game.
But it might just be there in the bag.
Zach says he can hear us, but
Moon River.
To get ahead of it while we wait for Zach, Bo will win Swooper this week.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Bo.
Yeah, Bo will win Swooper.
Bo. Tyler, he wants to know, should he log back off and log back in? Would that help?
The old
give it a shot.
reboot. Never hurts.
Go ahead.
So
Fran.
really quickly going through the big ones here. I'm just going through Dana's graphics. Here we go. Dana's tweeting a ton during the game. Just unbelievable content from Professor Dana Selman. All right, so the Matthew Stafford scramble on the opening drive gets you a point. Matthew Stafford did crack 100 passer rating, so you didn't get that one. Jake Elliott did not miss a field goal, and the Eagles score first in the game, so you got 3.
Nice.
Thank you.
Sixers winning before the Eagles got Zach 1, and then Eagles win by double digits got me 1. So you won 3 to 1 to 1.
Yeah, a little alternate line I give out pregame, plus 245.
Yeah.
Hit.
He says he logged back in. We're working on it. The people want to see.
We're trying to blow on the Nintendo cartridge.
How do you feel about the Ravens matchup?
I feel pretty good about it, honestly. The Ravens have been human lately.
Yeah.
Their defense is trash.
They're creating a lot of pressure. That's the thing. I was like looking at the numbers
Steal
today.
and steal, then.
Yeah, over the last couple of months, it's like they're giving up the most explosive plays, but they're also creating the most pressure.
Okay.
I think we have our man.
Oh, beautiful.
Could be a big A.J. Brown week upcoming.
Zachary Bermanovsky. There he is. What a backdrop. Looking sharp.
What's up, Zach?
Guys, great to see you. Great to see you. I've been eager to come here on the show, talk to you guys. What a win. There's a lot, there's so much to talk about here.
All right, there is so much to talk about. Absolutely. We're going to talk about Saquon. We're going to talk about the defense. But let's start with your conversation with Brandon Graham, who obviously you have covered for almost his entire career. Tell us about that conversation.
Yeah, I'm eager to hear tomorrow's as I listen to the show tomorrow, Vinny's perspective on this, because you walk into the locker room, Brandon Graham is there. He's on his phone. He's talking to, I believe, family back home. And he stands up and he says, all right, I'm ready. And then he said, I'm done. I'm done for the year. And he said he tore his triceps. He said everyone back home is emotional. I asked him specifically, is this it for you? Where are you going to play next year? He says he's not there yet. He says he's kind of processing everything right now. He said that he's going to be with the team the rest of the way. He's still going to be, a presence, a leader. So that part's not changing. But he said if he goes out like this, he's at peace with it. Speaking to other guys in the locker room, it certainly sounds like he'll be back. But Brandon even said he doesn't know what the team's going to be next year. He doesn't know what next year looks like. He's not there yet. He said his family back home is emotional. The kids were crying, but he's not. He said he's not crying. He's been through this before, but he said he's done. His season's done, and I'm not sure if you guys played Nick Sirianni. Nick wouldn't say it. I don't know what Nick's waiting for. It came straight from Brandon Graham's mouth, and in the locker room, he's speaking to Lane Johnson about it, and Jordan Davis about it, and Jalen Hurts about it, Saquon Barkley about it. Saquon said part of the reason he's accepted here is because of Brandon Graham. Brandon was the first one to welcome him. Jalen had that conversation with him on the sideline. It was an extended conversation. And when that was happening, you knew something was up, right? Because this is during the course of the game, and Jalen and Brandon are having that conversation. I'll defer to Vinny, but Brandon seemed to know right away what it was and that this is the season for him. So I will have more. I'm going to have 2 stories on allphly.com, one on Saquon Barkley's performance, one on Brandon Graham's injury. But Brandon, he's always professional. He was standing by his locker, ready to share the news. He was emotional, but not as emotional as he says those are back home. And he he reinforced that he's going to be around the team.
Yeah, I mean, I think the hope is that there's some poetry in the Eagles going to LA, winning a game, and losing one of their most important players.
Yeah, and
it's obviously it's such a shame because he was playing at such an unbelievably high level. He was arguably one of the best players on the team this year.
And that's what guys in the locker room were saying, like how big a part of the way they're playing he's been. And that jumped out. And you talked about the symmetry of LA. You lose this important player. I saw our colleague Rich Hoffman tweeted out the picture you put up, Bo, from the Super Bowl, Jason Peters walking out with the Lombardi Trophy, right? And like you can only imagine that being Brandon Graham if the Eagles were to go that far. But Brandon made clear that he's going to be around. Saquon said you'll still hear Brandon Graham talking trash to every opponent, before during the game. But yeah, it was a surreal scene. It's not something you typically see. Sometimes people wait for the MRI. Sometimes players are still kind of processing it before they're ready to talk publicly. Brandon Graham hadn't even changed, right? I mean, when you guys see the video that goes up, he's not wearing a shirt. He hadn't showered yet. He was sitting by his locker on the phone, telling people, telling loved ones what was happening. And then he stood up and he was ready to tell Eagles fans. So that's it really hits you, and players in there talking just kind of about the icon that he is in the franchise. So it was I don't want to say a damper, but it certainly made it bittersweet in that locker room for such a monumentous win otherwise.
Yeah, Vinny, I know that it's not how your career ended necessarily, but you have had season-ending injuries.
Right.
What is it like when you know that has happened? How does that feel?
It's a bummer. So much preparation goes into your offseason.
Mm-hmm.
And the commitment that you and your teammates make to each other, it's a bummer. Especially tonight, the way he dominated the game.
And to know that you have this lonely road of rehab ahead, right? It's like, that's tough.
Damn.
Okay, we pivot from that to Saquon, who you mentioned, and obviously an insane performance, over 300 yards from scrimmage. We are sort of running out of ways and superlatives to talk about the way that he has changed the face of this offense, the upside of this offense. What did you see and what did you hear in the locker room from what he did tonight?
Yeah, so interesting anecdote here. Saquon saw on the scoreboard behind me here, if you can see, he saw at one point.
This looks like a fake background.
It does look fake.
Yeah.
Look at that thing. Look at that thing.
Look at that.
So Saquon sees on the scoreboard 174 yards. Okay, that was the number. So 174 yards. And he's like, oh no, I wish I didn't see that, because you think back to when he was mic'd up in the Giants game, and he didn't want, he didn't want to just stay in for the record. Like, he wants these things to happen organically. He doesn't want to be forced. He didn't want to know what the number was, but then he saw that number and he goes off on that huge run. And I'll get into the story. So from Lane Johnson was really kind of taking inside the X's and O's about things they were doing in the first half to set up those home runs in the second half. Nick Sirianni talked about the cut that he made on that play, but really the offensive line, what the offensive line was doing. Spoke to Mekhi Becton. Mekhi Becton says, like, he's a fan out there, that once he sees Saquon by him, he's like, all right, my job's done. Now I can just enjoy this. And he sees Saquon going for that run. Lane Johnson said that he's played with some great running backs or some great players before, but he doesn't know if he's ever seen a performance like that. And really, Saquon, he's trying to kind of be humble, be consistent, He said his goal this year was all about being consistent. But even he, I think, is like aware of just how special what's going on is. And so anecdotally, the thing that jumped out was the 178. Oh, I'm sorry, the 174 that you saw on the scoreboard. Also, kind of little funny story here, or funny aside. He's talking in front of his locker, and I'm standing to the right of him, so I'm not face to face. I'm kind of to his side, and so I see the slip of paper on his locker, and Vinny knows what that is. The listeners might not know that means that's the sign you're getting drug tested, right? But I couldn't read. No, I just mean because players know what that slip is, right? Not anything about Vinny, right? But I didn't get to read the name on it because I was on the side, and so I asked him at the end. I was like, "Is there any coincidence you're getting drug tested tonight?" And he said, "No, that's actually Dallas Goedert. Dallas was playing a joke on me that Goddard was getting drug tested, and Goddard put that up behind Saquon." But like in the locker room, players were just in awe of the way he played. I've heard AJ and Devontae call him Superman, and it just changes. It changes the offense. Nick was talking about the home runs that he had. Like what was real special about tonight. Think about this: the 5 longest runs of the Nick Sirianni era are all from Saquon Barkley this year.
Wow.
And Nick was saying that on that run at the start of the second half, Saquon made a cut that like no one that size should ever be able to make, right? And he says he has it all as a running back. So I think you put it well that you're running out of things to say. I spoke to Saquon on Friday, and I asked him about whether a running back should be in the MVP conversation. It's traditionally a quarterback award, and he said he's not ready to have. He said we'll have that conversation at another time. So I asked him today, like, are we ready to have that conversation?
Follow up. The time is now.
And he said like he's not. He says it's an honor that he's being discussed like that. But if he wins MVP or Offensive Player of the Year and doesn't win the Super Bowl, he wouldn't be happy. He'd much rather win the Super Bowl and not win MVP and Offensive Player of the Year. Now, it doesn't have to be either or, right? But certainly the Eagles at 9-2, Saquon Barkley's been their MVP this year.
Yes, and in a game without Devontae Smith, for them to be able to have their best offensive performance of the season, certainly thanks in large part to Saquon Barkley. Last thing on offense before we get to the defense, Zach. What did happen? Your understanding at the end of the first half. I know it's maybe we're making too much out of something in a game that they won handily, but that was bizarre.
Yeah, and I had to leave Nick early to go to Saquon.
Nick said that basically that's on all of us, the coaches and the players. Like nobody did a good job there.
Yeah, I found it mystifying. I actually said, in real time, I was sitting next to Dave Zangaro from Comcast Sport or from NBC Sports Philly and Elliot Short Parks from WIP, and I said after AJ's touchdown, I'm like Nick needs to be aggressive with his timeouts here, right? And so then after that second down sack, I'm like, why is he not calling the timeout? And there was 30 plus seconds that go off the clock there, and people were telling me maybe he doesn't want McVay to have time to think about a play. I kind of think about that Rutgers game yesterday. I'm sure Fran saw it, where Shiano calls the timeout, and Illinois actually sends their offense back on the field. They score a touchdown.
Zach,
I don't put much stock into that.
In Los Angeles, and you were watching a Rutgers football game?
I was transcribing, and I was watching all the college football games in the background. Yeah.
Okay.
It wasn't a day off. It was a day without the Eagles playing, but it wasn't a day off. I was on the clock. But
the clock in your head, Zach?
Well, if I'm not working, someone else is, Jamie. Like that's the reality of it. So yeah, I mean, the Inquirer's still publishing, NBC, the Athletic's still publishing, so I got to make sure we're.
And you're working on that new book.
Hey, if they keep this pace, you never know. But no. So, anyways, I can't tell you what Nick was thinking in that situation. I don't think he handled it well. I also didn't like the second down run that the Eagles had there. I don't know if that was Jalen or if that was the play call. but still, they did not handle that well at all.
All right, Zach. Defensively, what did you think was the most impressive part of this performance?
Well, look, I cannot tell a lie here. I heard you guys talking before it came on. All right, but I need to say the way they played on third downs. I think look, Professor Showman and I are having two separate conversations here. I'm not disputing that first and second down aren't important. What I'm saying is that third downs are inflection points in games, or they could be inflection points in games. When you look at like a win probability chart, when a team gives up possession, it could alter things, and third downs often lead to giving up possession. So
he has also said on defense, third down is an okay way to measure it. It's on offense where we shouldn't overvalue it.
Yeah, we can save that conversation.
That aside.
That aside. But the third down combines some other factors here, right? It combines the pass rush, which Milton Williams I thought really stood out. And by the way, like the second day story of Brandon Graham's injury is that the Eagles are really undermanned on the edge, and they only have 3 guys now who are healthy, and one of them's Jalen Hunt, right? So Milton Williams might see more time on the edge. Maybe Zach Bond sees more time on the edge, but I thought Milton Williams played a really good game. I thought, obviously Brandon Graham was playing outstanding there. They were getting pressured. Zach Bond had a key pass breakup. I thought Cooper DeJean was just really tight and his tackling was strong. So third down, but then you look at how the third downs happen. Really, before Saquon had those 2 runs, when I'm mapping out what I'm going to write, I was thinking this is all about Vic Fangio's defense. This is all about Vic Fangio's defense, because I was talking to someone at halftime who really knows the Rams well, and that person was saying like, "Man, Vic's doing this again to McVay," and Vic was. I thought the defense was the story until Saquon set all kinds of records in the second half.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about that too. Like the Vic ownership of McVay, that thing coming full circle that's a tough look for Shawnee boy. I want to ask you about Jalen Hunt, Vinny, because I know you guys have a bit of a relationship.
Yes.
What do you see from him? Because he's going to be called.
He's
upon
very
to play
important
a real role
now. Yeah.
Listen, he's been coming along. It's been coming along. Coach Washburn has got him in, right where you want him, and that opportunity is knocking at his door.
Yeah. For a player like him, who is coming from a different level of competition as a rookie, what are the things that you think that he needs to tighten up that Coach Wash is working with him on?
Just the point of contact.
Okay.
When he do get an opportunity, he flashes on the screen.
He does. He moves like a really good player.
Anytime they say, "Man, we want to see him a little bit more," and that means you're flashing on the screen, and that opportunity to get ready to knock on his door, and he's going to answer it.
What else from the locker room, Zach?
Yeah, so I'm thinking going person to person here. Lane Johnson, his big point of emphasis was like, yeah, they're good right now, but they were good last year too, and they can't let some of these habits come back. They need.
That's fair.
Lane's really being tough about like avoiding complacency, practicing well, but Lane did acknowledge the way they're running the ball, the way they're playing defense. Like this is those are good ingredients late in the year. But Lane, more than anyone, and this has been a consistent message from Lane during the past few weeks, and I've noticed this. It's like not to get overwhelmed with the wins, and to really focus on avoiding what happened last year. That's something that you heard over and over again. Jalen Carter, you saw the way he was double teamed tonight, right? He chatting about that for a bit. Jalen Hurts, he was talking about the game that AJ had, right? He was saying how the way Saquon runs helps him on the back end a little bit more, right? He's maybe I don't want to say shouldering less of the running load, but maybe doesn't need to carry them as much as he is. But he said that the time's going to come when they're going to need the passing game. They're going to need him. And that, I do agree with Jalen there, is that there's going to be a time when the defense doesn't play like this and the Eagles are playing from behind and they don't control the game script and they can't just hand the ball to Saquon and expect, 70-yard runs, right? And then, Saquon talking about the way he played. It was a very joyful locker room, I would say.
I would hope
Vinny's
so.
old teammate. Yeah, Vinny's old teammate. Alshon Jeffrey was there.
Yeah.
John Dornbos was there. Alshon was wearing a custom 2017 Eagles jacket, and
Nice.
I saw him sitting there with AJ in the back corner of the locker room at one point. Players
fun.
were having some good laughs in the locker room about a lot of different things. So it was there was a melancholy part of it about Brandon Graham, right? Like, when I was talking to Brandon and the other reporters were talking to Brandon, some of the teammates were actually listening in, which you don't usually see. Usually guys are just kind of minding their own business, but some of the teammates were listening in. So
that's interesting.
Yeah, from a sights and sounds perspective, I found that to be especially interesting. I try to kind of keep some of the dialogue that players have like private, but sometimes when it's said loud enough, like I think it's fair game. This is just a funny thing. Maybe it's a little shot at how much I'd like this stadium. But Lane Johnson said, like, they spend all this money on the stadium, they can't build bigger locker rooms, right? Because like everyone was kind of crowded. And
Legit
that was
point.
a sentiment that a few other guys had. And
Purposeful.
when
I'm
you're in
sure.
LA, there's more reporters, and so Mekhi Becton's like trying to get around someone at one point, and like the guy wasn't moving, and Mekhi's like what's going on here? Mekhi's happy. Yeah. So that kind of stood out in the locker room as well. The players were having a good time shouting random players who are going to the podium. Like you heard, like Rick Lovato's going to the podium. They kind of thought I actually fell for it. At one point, I was talking to I was in on Jalen Carter, and then I hear someone scream, "Sirianni's going to the podium," and so I start dashing out.
They got you.
And they're like, "No, yeah," they're like, "No, we're just messing." So, they got me. They got me. I was on a mission to try to get Nick, and then I left Nick to come get Saquon.
So based on the kickoff show, when you told us that John Dornbos was there and Deshaun Jackson was there, for you, the pecking order goes Alshon, Dornbos, Deshaun.
And LaShawn was here too. He was sitting in Lurie's suite.
He was there too? Yeah.
He was sitting. It was LaShawn McCoy, I believe LaShawn McCoy's father, Jeffrey Lurie, Julian Lurie, Bradley Cooper. We're all in that suite.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice suite, nice company.
Yeah.
So
must be nice.
But I'll say this: I
Hall of
think
Famer.
Deshaun and LaShawn might be around the team a little bit more. I haven't seen Alshon in the flesh as it's been a minute, right?
Was he happy to see you?
So, he was chatting with Christina Lurie, and then Dornbos introduced himself, and Alshon's like, yeah, I know who you are. And then and then Dom was like, he's good, he's good. So he came in. So I actually didn't catch up with Alshon. I wish I did, because I always enjoyed speaking to Alshon.
Zach, we do. I don't know if you heard this part on the show or not, but we do have some debate in the chat. Everybody has made their bets. Last 2 nights, I know you got the red eye coming up. Last 2 nights, how many hours of sleep did you bank?
Yeah, I didn't know there was debate in the chat about it, but I did check my Aura ring before I came here, because you and I talked about it on the show the other day. I got 13 hours and 21 minutes during the test.
All right, good for you.
Okay. Yeah,
good for you, Zach.
Yeah,
almost 14.
It would have been more, but my son FaceTimed me at was like 4 a.m. here on Saturday morning, and it took me a bit to get back to sleep.
Wow.
Man, but it was great talking to him.
Zach, what do you set the hotel room temperature to?
Good question. You're laughing because
Why do you have a weird answer
because
to
it's
this?
69. That's why he's laughing.
Somewhere like,
That's why
between like,
I know you.
68 and 70.
You don't want to say that it's
somewhere between,
69.
Yeah, you're not getting me to say that on the air. But yeah, somewhere
1 below 70 is your ideal number?
Yeah, like between 68 and 70, I would say.
How well do I know this guy?
Something above 68, below 70.
Funny.
Wow. How many showers today for a night game? 3?
2.
Pretty good.
One when I woke up, took a walk, met someone for lunch, and then came back to get friends up for the game. So 2.
All right, Zach. I know that you got a red eye to get to. You got a right.
Honestly, yeah. No, I mean, I'm leaving for the airport at 11 o'clock here, so I'm happy to answer any questions you guys have because I'm not gonna get a lot of time to write. I'll do a stand-up hit that I'll put on Instagram, and I'll start to do some transcribing, but most of the writing will come on the plane. So sorry for the person sitting in like 14B or whatever. The person sitting next to me, you're gonna see my screen up the whole red eye tonight. So sorry about that.
No, that's all right. I'm sure they're watching. Yeah, you know what? Here's my last thing. How I know that you have been to lots of Eagles road games where the Eagles fans took over. How did this compare? We've heard that there was an impressive showing from the Eagles fans.
Yeah, it was an impressive showing for the Eagles fans, but if I'm being honest with you, look, it's a big stadium, okay?
They're changing the field over to the Chargers right now, aren't they, Zach?
Oh, yeah. It's a big stadium. I don't want to drop my laptop. So it kind of drowns things out.
By the way, you could have. There's a path in which you could have rolled this into covering both games because you're covering the Eagles' next opponent.
Honestly, I should have done that. That would have been good. Come to think of it, yeah, it could give me another day in LA.
Yeah, I'm
I
surprised
love
it didn't cross your mind.
Yeah, no, that would have been nice actually. But I want to get back to a show with you. We have one fewer show this week because of Thanksgiving.
That's okay.
But I would say honestly, the one that takes the cake for me is always that Chargers game because it was a small stadium with 20,000 people that day in 2017 when Vinny was there. Yeah. So yeah, it was noticeable here, and I'll say everywhere I went in Philly. Oh, I'm sorry, in LA, and I was in Manhattan Beach, Nelson Gundo, and Inglewood, and Venice. And Manhattan and Santa Monica.
I left my wallet.
Anywhere I went, there was.
You were in all those places this weekend?
They were green. Yeah, I was in all those places this weekend. Yeah.
Jeez.
And the Intimate Dome.
And you're watching Shiano?
And college football's in the background. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, because I would meet. I met different people. Friend of the show, Tony Ascenda.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that on tomorrow's show. I want to get to the bottom of that.
Okay. And then, I did go to the Intuit Dome on Friday night. That was an amazing experience. I'm going to stay out of any type of city politics debate here from a pure basketball viewing perspective. We can use a place like that in Philly. That's like an awesome place to watch a game.
Okay. Well, we can talk about that tomorrow, too. All right, Zach, we love you. Good luck. We look forward to reading everything on allphly.com. You look great. Almost as good as Howie tonight, but you look very sharp. Great background. Thank you for all your service.
Vinny, have a happy Thanksgiving.
You too.
Yeah, Jamie and Fran, I'll see you in the studio this week, and Bo, I'll see you tomorrow.
Okay. Vinny, I love you. Have a happy Thanksgiving. Thank you for everything you do for us. Bo, I'll see you tomorrow. That's good. All right. It's late. We're going to close this bad boy up. An impressive performance for the Eagles, 37-20. A memorable, unbelievable performance from Saquon Barkley, who tops 300 yards from scrimmage. And unfortunately, a very disappointing end of the season for Brandon Graham, one of the best players on the team this season, and certainly one of the most valued members of the locker room. So much to follow over the next week as the Eagles prepare for the Baltimore Ravens. We are back tomorrow at 2 o'clock. Myself and Zach, who will be weary from the red eye, so that'll be good television, I'm sure. Thank you, Fran. Thank you, Jamie. Thank you, Vinny. Thank you, Tyler. Thank you, Chris. Thanks to all of you sickos in the chat who watched us live. We look forward to talking to you tomorrow. That'll do it. And as always, we love you.
We all silly like the mayor.